Welcome back to Morning at NTV. We journey on with Monday's edition and the discussions thereof. Of course, everything that was of last week, coffee this, coffee that. Can you smell the coffee outside? Can you smell the coffee within the legislative house? And we concluded the week by smelling the coffee from the executive arm of government. Of course, all that comes down to financing and what is the financial inclusion climate like in Uganda to support some of these things that continuous developmental arms for growth and prosperity in Uganda. Therefore, in our business update this morning, we're looking to Uganda's success that is being registered within the space of fintechs. I am Priscilla Regina Naroga, and my guest this morning is a fintech guru. He has championed so many startups, and he has had hackathons that are geared towards making sure that the landscape of fintechs is well catered to and improved and gets the lights and attention to it, not just for Uganda but East Africa. Innocent Kawoya, you're most welcome.
Thank you, Priscilla.
It's a pleasure to have you.
Always a pleasure.
Salutations to our audience, and then we can get into the conversation.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. I'm always very honored and delighted to be here on NTV. It's always a blessing. And we always appreciate for myself and the team that I work with at High People and all our partners, including the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. We're always happy to have a moment to come and speak about matters that help to include everyone into the conversation of progress. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. All right. He is the Chief Executive Officer with the High People Foundation. And we've been hearing this word financial inclusion for somewhat reason. And this tilt of the era, financial inclusion is embedded in literally every single thing that the government is doing. Different companies are doing, corporate companies. So it's a buzzword that is also in the banking sector. We are hearing it. And so the population globally is picking up and warming up to financial inclusion. It begs the question, what is it and how are we as Uganda adapting to it?
Thank you, Priscilla. Well, to start with, before I even talk about financial inclusion, very excited that High People is making 20 years in service this year, and on the 15th of November here at the Serena Hotel we shall be making a celebration at the 13th edition of the prestigious High People Music Award. And before I even talk about financial inclusion, I need to first say that I'm partly financially included. It's very challenging to talk about inclusion when you're not included yourself and you're championing and advocating for the same. So I would start by inviting every one of the stakeholders. We shall also be hosting the Digital Impact Awards Africa, 13th edition, and the Digital and Financial Inclusion Summit. So please be a part of the conversation they hold on 15th of November. But most importantly, financial inclusion will relate in so many ways to creating access to tools and solutions that enable different people transact, bank, save, borrow, and the likes. I'm using a very layman's language because the Google definition takes it to a university still. But speaking to saying people have access to tools that help them budget, help them save, help them borrow when they can, help increase their credit worthiness, help them access investment opportunities, help them access insurance and the likes, is simply saying financial inclusion. But the entry point is being able to have what we call transactional accounts. And transactional accounts, over the last 15 years, especially Africa, has seen a very huge growth in this access thanks to the advent of mobile money and mobile financial services. That for many years in Uganda alone, the people that had access to banks and had transactional banking accounts were not more than 2 million for so many years. Today we are speaking of more than 26 million accounts. Across Africa, related to a GSMA 2023 report, more than 691 million people transact using mobile money every month throughout the last year. And that is creating access to financial services, and that is financial inclusion.
And you know, when you mentioned that today in the East African, there's a very nice read about how, you know, the mobile money sector is affecting beggars and, you know, street people, because people no longer have that cash or coin to throw in their the small baskets or whatever collection center that is. So you are right.
Yeah, it is not only affecting beggars, to say. It's also affecting so many businesses. I, for one, rarely would, I now move with cash or even a card for a bank. My only option usually is mobile money. And I know there are so many people like me. So there are so many places that cannot receive payments from mobile money that I'm not able to transact from because they are not making sure we are included a certain way. And that is a growing behavior. I mean, you've seen a number of banks now finding integrations between mobile money and banking to make sure they create solutions. I have seen the likes of innovators like Craft Silicon doing a lot of integration of bank to wallet, wallet to bank, and the likes, saying, okay, this should be happening. Of course, in our fintech space, there is quite a lot. I've seen so many of them, Uganda, FutureLink, and the likes, saying, okay, we should make a lot of integrations, bank, Circle to wallet, and the likes. And all of them are doing that to make sure that they include the people at the last mile. I have seen the likes of Hamway doing inclusion for farmers, creating financial solutions tailor-made for making sure farmers can get credit products and pay over a year, but they're creating trust within the same. They're using a peer-to-peer approach. I mean, for a long time, things like circles had so much trust. Some of the microfinance businesses grew as a result of a peer-to-peer engagement. That I get a loan because Regina knows, and she knows me very well, she knows where I stay, and the other two members of our team know me. So when I get credit, they know I'll pay, or else they'll come to my home and get to collect their money. When that is happening, you are specifically looking at saying, okay, we are having security. Now, in the digital age, you are thinking of where is my security? I am walking to a street, I'm walking with money. We have seen videos of people kicking individuals in the streets and getting them to collapse. Should I move with my 50K? So a beggar is not getting any money in that case. So what is going to happen very soon is you're going to find so many of those people also having mobile phones. And instead of just telling you, give me some money, they write paper, and a paper and say, this is my number, please help me. And I think it speaks deeply about the transformative capacity of digital financial services and how much they can impact anything. I have, for the many last months, been speaking at very many international conferences and convenings, and I've been telling everyone that, unfortunately, for everyone who doesn't subscribe to the digital notion, the truth is that nothing else is going to happen anymore, especially in the 7 spheres of societal influence without digitization.
Mr. Kawoya, in assessment, while that sounds good to the ear, the realities are quite different on ground. We still have a population that is by and large underbanked, or not even banked in the first place. And then also to bridge that gap of financial inclusion, then it must come with financial literacy. And that is information that has been very limited within our population. And so it begs the question, how are you assessing impact in this environment?
Assessing impact, Regina, honestly, I would agree with you 1,000,000 times that we still have a very long way to go. But we're not where we were 15 years ago. We should appreciate the good that comes with the conversation first and saying, okay, we still have millions of people to include. Financial literacy, yes. I lead the Inclusive Financial Working Group at Bank of Uganda, and I know for sure that financial literacy is not just essential, but it's a need for everyone, that everyone should be able to learn. Even just appreciating two things, appreciating someone knowing what their needs are and what their wants are, goes a very long way in helping us lead healthier financial lives. But importantly, when we are speaking about digital financial inclusion, as clearly stated that there is a digital element and financial element, there are a lot of things that are going to contribute to ensuring we have success. There's going to be a lot of investment in infrastructure, which is supposed to be done by public-private partnerships, so governments have to come in and the private players. It is going to be done by different leadership levels, local council chairpersons and the likes, and they have to be trained in a certain way. And it's going to be done at different layers of ensuring that people understand how to use tools. There is access to devices, they are affordable. I mean, all that, those are still conversations that we are still grinding and making sure we engage whoever stakeholder we can. But still in the same phase of progress, we are making so much progress. For instance, we have convinced so many suppliers of affordable phones to get them into the market and create them, put them out on credit. The challenge is that the players that have access to these users still don't have access to the tools or the suppliers of the same solutions. So yes, we still have a very long way to go. Okay. Yes, if you ask about what they call advanced financial inclusion, you will find that maybe out of the 26 million people who actually have transactional accounts, only like 10,000 of them advancedly use the services.
So it begs the question, how and where exactly are fintech companies, especially with their innovative solutions and their widespread accessibility that you've talked about, how are they stepping in and playing that transformative role in order to have an economy that is impactful across?
Thank you, Priscilla. So now, what is happening with our fintech space? Very excited from my side at High People, and especially for our initiative like the 40 Days for the Fintechs initiative and Women in Fintech Hackathon, because these shine a spotlight on transformative stories that are transforming millions of lives. But very excited for the fact that they are creating the right competition for starters. They are helping in cutting down the costs for the user at the bottom of the pyramid. But this does not go without challenges. For instance, we have been for many years advocating for having a national payment switch, one that is supposed to help in cutting interoperability costs for everyone, so that at the end of the day, the user at the bottom of the pyramid has a less cost in transaction, a less cost in usage of these services. And the fintechs are the only flexible players that are making sure they innovate for every sector, and not being that one fintech who alone is our Nimiro or PesaJet is doing work for schools alone, but rather they are collectively looking at each of the spheres of societal influence. There are innovations in church, the innovations in hospitals. I mean, when you go to My Doctor, we are thinking differently about using financial technology to serve people. We are saying we are creating affordable access to healthcare solutions, that someone can access a doctor at 1,000 shillings by just using technology and paying using mobile money and wherever you are in the world. And that is absolutely what fintechs are doing, and they must do. When they come and put some competition, the players, the bigger players like the banks that have bigger masses of capital, now come in and invest in these innovations. Some collaborate, some come and fight the fintechs and get them to collapse. That happens, and we know it's not good, but it happens in business. Speaking of
collaboration, what's the relationship between fintech experts and people that are in the financial literacy space? How are the two working for a more prosperous economy?
So, well, now that is a very smart question. I don't even know why you're asking. But say, okay, thank you anyway. I'll just say that now is a very smart question. I've not had anyone ask me such a question. What is the relationship between financial technology and financial literacy, especially in the space of the players? The relationship has been very vague. Why? Because we still want to operate in silos. We still, every one of us still thinks they are great on themselves, and they're not understanding the reality that we go a very long way by collaborating and working together on so many fronts. But we are urging and advocating for everyone that is in the space to make sure, as a fintech, one of your offerings is ensuring you offer financial literacy. And in so doing, in this year's Digital and Financial Inclusion Summit that is happening on 15th, we have also made sure we invite 60 fintechs to participate with the banks, with the MNOs and the likes, and all the other utility providers, to make sure that at the end of the day, we have a convergence of thoughts, and also we create some bit of formal collaboration, and ensure that at the end of the day, we tailor-make conversations that help in driving access to financial literacy services and financial inclusion services.
Okay. On the side of financial literacy and you know, the people that are playing in that sector in particular, I'm curious to know how this has actually affected the economy.
Financial literacy?
Yes.
Well, financial literacy has affected the economy positively so far. I remember in the year 2022-2023, I had a radio show every Monday, training thousands of people every Monday, and from only my point of view as well, and I saw a lot of feedback coming out. I have seen thousands of people we've trained. We've been going to schools nowadays. Most recently, we were in Theta High, I think 2 weeks ago, and we're teaching senior one and senior 2 students. And the feedback is very exciting, even at the moment that someone is saying, okay, I should not be bugging my parents over things that are not my needs. Appreciating that there are things that I must have to live my life, and the things that I want to have but are not necessarily the necessities I have. Of course, we are breaking down these tools. The Bank of Uganda, through its financial inclusion department, has created a manual of trainers. So some of us who have been trained are taking on the initiative to ensure that we train very many others. Yeah. Additionally, there has been a creation of a financial literacy association, which is led by a gentleman called Daniel, and it's also going a long way in making sure that there is a lot of progress made. That, without also forgetting the fact that government, especially the Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning, the Ministry of ICT, are supposed to be intentional about collaborating, but also ensuring that players, major media players like NTV, are also intentional about making sure that this is done. Not to wait for someone to come and pay you to have education, because when people appreciate financial inclusion from your place, there are chances that you're going to hold them as your clients for a long time. Why? So many times, all of us make very wrong financial inclusions in the name of saying that, after all, I am happy. You are not even happy. Yeah. So I walk to a bar, I have earned 500,000, and then I consume 489,000 shillings, and I remain with 11,000 shillings. And the next day, I'm so angry at Priscilla, who had a plan for their money, budgeted early in time, and said, I have my 500,000, I'm going to buy fuel, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to make sure for the next 2 weeks I have something to keep me up front. Now that deeply helps in creating a sustainable economy. And also, as we speak matters like investment, without financial literacy, it is going to be very hard for people to think about saving money to invest. It's going to be very hard for people to think about creating avenues for ensuring that they create their own financial independence, which is very crucial in ensuring that we have a healthy nation. So yes, we have a lot we are doing, and we have a lot we can be able to achieve in this sector.
Mr. So that's from the side of the sector players. Now the sector users, us on this side. The other issue that we have with all this, financial inclusion opportunities is the trust to adopt to this evolution. It begs the question: how are you dealing with the issue of trust? Because in so doing, there's also infiltration of buffet, quacks and fraudulent elements to this, because it's a space that is still burdened by and large. So there's not much protection in terms of policy and regulation to it. And so as the end users who would like to, but are still at the age, not really trusting.
Yeah, so now Priscilla, trust and confidence. So if Priscilla had a friend called Bridget, for example, and they knew them so well, and they were comfortable dealing with them financially anytime. And then I created a clone of Bridget, and I called you as Bridget, and then you sent me money. Do you think that would be an act of technology or innovation, or it's a human act? And I'm asking.
Human act.
Exactly.
Human act.
So trust and confidence. I mean, one of the things over the years, high people working with Cyber PLC, we've been emphasizing our theme of maximizing the digital dividend. And one of the requirements for ensuring that users maximize their digital dividend is ensuring that you build confidence in them to use the solutions and then improve their trust over time. I mean, we have seen a very big wave of fraudulent players, many of whom are being supported by people who are employed by mobile money operators and banks. Unfortunately, they get SIM cards, they swipe numbers and do all that. I remember Honorable Karubanga David one time was robbed. I mean, someone is able to rob a minister very easily because they have known at this time he's in a cabinet meeting, he can do this. He's our patron, that's why I know the story, sorry. I need to make sure I make a disclaimer. But importantly, fraud, we've been able to handle a bit of it. We started an initiative called Mobile Money Police. a few years ago, and over the last few years we've reported more than 3,000 numbers of people that call and try to defraud people. And we're encouraging everyone that is watching NTV this morning that for whatever may be happening, one of the things we should do to help us fight fraud in a larger extent, ensure that when someone calls you, you report to the customer service and ask them to block those numbers.
Well, as we conclude this conversation, let's talk about the fintech digital awards that are upcoming.
Yes.
And I know that there's 5 fintechs that have been nominated in there.
Yeah. Well, very exciting that, and I'm always thankful to God that He has seen us through. High People as an organization on Friday, 15th of November, will be collectively organizing the 24th award event under one house over the last 20 years. 24 because 2 have been run concurrently for 11 years. So the Digital Impact Awards Africa, there is a very important mention and nomination of fintechs, and the nominees are based on participation for this year's 40 Days for the Fintechs initiative, the outstanding players. But there is also a very great list of players, giants in digital innovation and financial inclusion, many of whom have served millions of people and transformed their lives, and they are helping create very meaningful ways of us living better. So a lot of that is happening on Friday here at the Serena. But also importantly, as we crown our 20 years of service, and as also, I don't want to get angry at you, Priscilla, that my friend didn't congratulate me and High People for winning a presidential medal of before I get angry. We are very excited and very privileged, honored for the same reason that His Excellency, the President of Uganda, through the Office of the President, saw it fit for me to be recognized with the National Independence Medal. It is something that is of great inspiration to us now and going forward. And we also want to ask everyone out there to come and join us as we celebrate success and inspiration that has transformed millions of lives and also created very many decent employment opportunities for hundreds of thousands of youth around Uganda and Africa.
All right. Innocent Kawaya, thank you so much for your contribution to building